from South Korea, let's take a look with a man who worked at the Bank of Korea for 15 years. Kwon Young Sun, who's a senior Korea economist at Nomura International, joins us. And Kwon's team was also ranked number 3, I believe, in recent polls by investor polls for International Asia Economics. So good to see you, Young Sun. What did you think of these numbers? You know, we're calling this a miss, but 0.1% here or there, does it make a difference?
Yes, the headline is just roughly in line with the consensus. But I'd like to highlight that the details are much worse than the headline. All the components, private consumption, business investment, export, all declined on a quarter-on-quarter basis. The only positive contribution to the GDP growth is the inventory. But that's not good for the future GDP. So I would say that the European crisis already hitting the Korean economy through the export first, and then there's some negative feedback loop because of the weaker confidence, and the business, it looks likely that the Korean firms, they're reluctant to increase their business investment.
Right, CapEx is coming
exactly
down.
Right.
Okay, so what about the Bank of Korea then? Isn't the market, aren't these GDP numbers calling for them to do something on interest rates and cut them pretty soon?
When it's just if the BOK is just focusing on the Q4 GDP, they're already the middle image, right? Behind the
curve.
Right, that's true. But going forward, what do you expect? The GDP will decline on quarter in the first quarter 2012, because we expect that Korean firms, they will probably decrease their business investment further.
Right.
The consumers, they probably spend less, and exporters, they will get the more kind of the weaker kind of shipment to the U.S.
You know, Young Sun?
No, the U.S., Europe,
right.
and also China.
Okay, but Young Sun, you're painting a really ugly picture for the Korean economy right now. It sounds like to me that the Bank of Korea is way behind the curve, especially when you're looking at negative growth. Is that what you're saying? The growth will decrease again in the first quarter and second quarter?
The Korean policymakers, they talking about we need to fight with the inflation now. But I think that this is a time to more focusing on the growth rather than inflation.
Right.
So if they think about some more forward-looking basis, the data, then we think that the BOK will eventually cut interest rate one in April, the other in July, because we expect inflation will slowing down. Q4 GDP is a weaker domestic demand. Strongly suggests that there is no demand side inflation pressure.
Right. Okay.
Right? Most of the inflation is from the overseas, but as you see, the oil price and the currency, all the movement suggests that inflation will slowing down.
Okay, so interest rate cuts from the BOK in April and July, 25 basis points.
That's not enough.
That's
so
not enough.
What do you expect for the government side? We expect 12 trillion supplementary budget, like a fiscal stimulus. It's about 1% of GDP. That will also help to support the domestic demand, especially given that South Korea will have elections, one in April, the other one in December.
Okay, and also the won, you pointed out the won level, so you're looking at 1,100 for the South Korean currency? Wow, because we were talking about this story about basically the carry trade in the euro. You get 7% returns if you do that with the cross-sell with the Korean won.
Yeah, so when you're looking at the current account balance, we expect still the current account will make the surplus, given that the exports slowing down, but the import growth slowing down even further because of weaker domestic demand.
Right.
So from the fundamental perspective, we think that the Korean won will eventually appreciate the US dollar. Okay. But the one point here is that even though the Korean won to appreciate against US dollar, but compared to Japanese yen, Korea won is still very competitive.
Okay, gotcha. Young Sun, thanks for joining us this morning, and happy Chinese New Year or happy Lunar New Year to you. Young Sun, Kwon at Nomura.